was trafficked. I'm a survivor of it. Everyone keeps saying to stop saying survivor, say I'm a warrior, whatever. Like, so I was trafficked through the adult film industry, the porn industry here. And I was owned by a man named Derek Hayes of LA Direct Models. He trafficked me through the elite of Hollywood and global politicians, including George Soros and Joe Biden. So those are two of the big ones. I've spoken out against other actors, but we're talking about the politicians here. So we'll just focus on those two at this point in time. Say the location of where I was, because I'm under a gag order, but yes, I did get subpoenaed to go testify in these tribunals. I testified over 100 times against the elite and globalists. Some I've spoken out against, some, again, I can't speak of because I'm under a gag order, and there still are arrests that are happening at this point in time. So yes. So I actually got, so I'm suing my traffickers. I had filed lawsuits against my traffickers. So I have an attorney. My attorney had called me and said, you got a subpoena, but we need to meet. So I didn't know what that meant. So like, okay. So I went and met with her, and she's like, this is not your normal subpoena. It's a military subpoena. I'm like, what? I don't understand. She's like, well, this is you have to go testify in a military court. And I said, I don't understand. I'm not military. Why would I have to do that? I was very confused, right, of why I'm going to go testify. She said, well, because your evidence and things have gone into court, you need to go testify in their criminal case, and they've been arrested by the military, or they're under trial in the military. So I go, okay, I will go. And at first I didn't want to, because again, I'm putting myself at risk by going and saying this stuff happened to me, putting myself at extreme risk. So I said, fine, I'm going to go. I went a couple times. I mean, I was going back and forth to DC multiple times. I'm like, listen, I just need to go where I do bust out all the tribunals at once, because this is exhausting. And, I do have a life and job and kids, and like, let's go. So I went out, testified over 100 times against multiple people, one of which who was Joe Biden. He was the very last person that I testified against. It's hard to make, like, let me just say this before I kind of get into all of it, is going and making that choice wasn't a choice about me. I've forgiven my traffickers. I've forgiven what has happened to me. But this to me I either serve my country and love my country so much that I'm going to go sit on a stand and put myself at risk so my children and my children's children can have a better future. And so to me, it was a calling that I had to go do, as hard as it was. So when we did the tribunals, and Claire and I had talked about this a couple of times, Joe Biden was there. Well, Joe Biden, right, was there. And he was the last one. And I don't get emotional a lot. I'm not an emotional person. I obviously got emotional at the borders and whatever yesterday or a few days ago with Claire. But Joe, they kept saying identify who he is. But how do you identify someone in a courtroom when it's not, that's not him? Like, you seem like you're going crazy, even though you're not crazy. So you're like, okay, I can't point at him. I can't say that that's him, because then I'm creating a treasonous act against the country because I can't identify. So I said to my attorney, I'm not going to identify him, but he is guilty. So what they did is, because I do have evidence of all my rapes and torture, and when I speak out, I don't speak out against anyone that I don't have actual physical evidence against. I don't have any evidence on me whatsoever. All that evidence is across the world and across to different people. But in the court, I said in the videos, this is who that is, because I wasn't going to identify a man sitting there that looked like him, but wasn't him. Then you feel like you're kind of like going a little bit cuckoo, right? No, it looked very real, but he was also like, there are protection orders for any witnesses, right? So I wasn't too close to him. He was in the room. He looked like what we're seeing on the TV, right? He looked like that. I know it was a person because they walked him in. So, but he looked like what we're seeing. But if you look at like Joe Biden, even 10 years ago, it's a completely different person. Even when you get older, yeah, right? Like, even when you get older, your face still looks like your face. This Joe Biden doesn't. And he's like the one that we So Joe Biden before, I believe, and I might get this mixed up, but one was right-handed, the other one is left-handed, and they're signing with different. This Joe Biden is not like, he's signing his executive orders with a different hand than what he did, and he's not, he doesn't never written with both hands, so it's confusing. Like, who you're like, for me, I'm sitting there. You know how crazy I felt at that moment? Like, you're wanting me to point at this person, and it's not him. And then I didn't understand, and I don't know if that's because they're going to do the EVS and everything, and that these tribunals are going to be televised, or what. I don't know if it was like to show that there was, like, for people that aren't awake yet, to show that this person was arrested, or that a person was arrested. But to me, if I pointed to him, I don't know what they're going to do to that person sitting there. Like, are they going to harm that person? I was so exhausted. I had testified over 100 times at that point. Like, you got to remember, I'm seeing these videos and pictures and everything. Nothing that I haven't looked at this. This is the first time I'm seeing this stuff so I was trafficked for almost a decade. It's been about 12 years since I've been out. So seeing all of that was traumatizing in itself and triggering. And so when he came out, it was just, that's where I couldn't finish the testimony. We had to go into the next day because I felt confusion, anger. I knew it was almost done. There was like a sigh of relief. There was a lot of emotions that are going through me because I know he's the last one. And it's just like, okay, is this the moment after I'm done testifying that I get my justice? Because I've been called a liar. I've been